Hey, what's happening? Jack Jones out here on the trail getting ready for my big trip, and it struck me that it's been 6 months now since I've gotten off of caffeine and gotten off of coffee, and I would rank it up there with exercise and meditation as far as improving my quality of life. It really has made a huge dramatic impact on my life overall. Walk with me, I'll tell you why I quit and why it's made such a dramatic impact on my life, and also how you can kick the caffeine addiction yourself. So I quit back in September because I recognized that my daily coffee intake had really gotten out of hand, and it was getting to the point where it didn't matter how much coffee I drank. I would still feel tired. Like in the mornings, I would not be able to function. I wouldn't be able to get out of bed unless I had my coffee. And yet, even after 3 or 4 cups, I just wasn't functioning correctly. I couldn't think clearly. I wasn't able to produce anything coherent. And I just needed it all throughout the day. I was constantly drinking it. I was going through probably about 8 cups a day, so 800 milligrams of caffeine. And it really reminded me of that old saying, like, you can't live with them and you can't live without them. That's what I felt like with caffeine. I couldn't live with it and I couldn't live without it. So in addition to not being productive, not getting anything done, I was having really terribly disrupted sleep. Like wouldn't be able to fall asleep until 1 or 2 in the morning. I was having really bad mood swings. I just felt kind of crappy all the time, and I felt just tired all the time. And I thought maybe, well, I'm almost 30 now, maybe that's what it feels like when you get old. You just feel tired all the time. I had all these symptoms of ADHD. I just could not stay focused. I would sit on my computer, start to write a blog post, and then click over to Reddit, click over to bodybuilding.com. 5 minutes later, go back to my blog post, and just constantly, I would only be able to get like a paragraph out before I found myself clicking over to something else. And looking back on it, it really affected my decision making, because what would happen is I would drink my morning cup of coffee, which was actually like 3 cups of coffee, and it would give me a big boost in dopamine and adrenaline, and then I would be really excited about just random stuff. I took on some really random business projects that I really should not have taken on, because that caffeine was giving me an artificial high, which then led me to make poor decisions so I would make those decisions in the morning, and then I would crash and come down off my caffeine and be like, I have no interest in doing this. I'm not excited about this at all. So that's what prompted me to quit in September. I was just tired of being tired. I was tired of needing this coffee, this caffeine, to just keep myself going every day. And I was finally had to recognize that really nothing was getting done. Even though caffeine makes you feel energized and feel excited, nothing of real value was getting produced. So I quit cold turkey, which I do not recommend. It was absolutely brutal. And I actually quit when I was on a business trip out shooting a video in Chicago, which I have no idea what possessed me to do that. I had to interview a bunch of people. I had to shoot a whole bunch of video, and it was like the worst time I could possibly pick to quit. But I guess I had hit my bottom, and I had decided on the week before that I was gonna quit. So then I did, and I didn't have any caffeine. So my first 4 days of that was while I was on a business trip. That was super important. Heard a bunch of noise over there. It was just a squirrel. And in those first 8 weeks, I was not excited about anything. I was not motivated about anything whatsoever. It was, you could characterize it as a mild depression. That would be a good way to characterize it. And I was concerned that I wasn't going to be able to get excited or energized or motivated about things without caffeine, which actually that has turned out to be absolutely not true. So if you are in the middle of trying to quit caffeine and you're afraid that you'll never feel excited about things without it, don't worry about it. That'll pass. So after 12 weeks of going off cold turkey, I was pretty much back to normal. My overall energy was lower than it had been before. Overall, my drive and my motivation was just a little bit lower. And I think it's just gonna take a really long time for all that to come back. I mean, 6 months on, I feel much more like myself. And so that's been, 6 months, that's a long time. But I was on caffeine also for many years in my life. So it makes sense. All right, for anybody out there that's looking to quit, I would recommend not going cold turkey unless you can spend about 2 months doing absolutely nothing. I would recommend cutting your caffeine intake by half every week. If you're a regular to moderate caffeine drinker, so if you drink between 200 and 400 milligrams a day, that should work out fine for you. If you're a much heavier user, like 400 milligrams plus, I would cut your caffeine intake 25% each week over the course of 8 weeks. So otherwise, everybody else, cut your caffeine in half every week for 4 weeks. And by week 5, that should be the first week that you go completely caffeine free. And just really expect that the first 3 months of this are going to be challenging. You are not going to feel 100% like yourself. You're gonna feel slow, you're gonna feel stupid, you're gonna feel sluggish, you're gonna feel unenergetic, you're going to be less motivated, and you're just gonna be kind of depressed for that time. But trust me, after you get through it, it really is worth it. There's a few supplements that are really helpful for getting off of caffeine. One of them is rutaceprin, not really sure how to pronounce it, but what it does is it helps your liver detox caffeine, supposedly. They've only done rat studies, and it shows that the rats who take it will process, break down, and get rid of caffeine at a much faster rate than the control rats. So who knows if that actually carries over into human beings, but there's been some people's anecdotes that says it helps. I couldn't really tell when I took it. I think it did help, but I think just getting off of caffeine was a much better option. So there are also what are known as adaptogenic herbs. So these are like rhodiola rosea, eleutheru root, and those can help give you a boost of energy and fight off the tiredness that getting off of caffeine brings. Although I found you need to be careful with those as well, because rhodiola definitely is a stimulant in its own right, and it's hard. I can't find the research online to show whether it's working on the same pathways as caffeine or different pathways, but if the goal is to reset your body, reset your tolerances and rest, then I would err on the side of not taking anything that might even be a stimulant, even if it's a adaptogen like rhodiola. So I would use those sparingly for days that you just need to be more energized, more on point. So if you're on the fence about whether you want to try and get off caffeine, I would say it is absolutely worth it. Just my quality of life overall has improved so dramatically. My sleep, like I never have trouble sleeping anymore. And more importantly, in the mornings, I wake up feeling rested. So before, it didn't matter how long I slept, I would still feel tired. Now, after just 7-8 hours, usually every day, I feel really refreshed and rested, and I don't need to lay in bed for 2 or 3 hours and then finally start the day. It feels amazing, and it's amazing not to need to drink a cup of coffee just to get going in the morning. Like, I wake up, I do my normal morning routine, and I feel great. And I don't crash in the afternoons. So this is about 6:30 right now. Usually in the afternoons between like 3 p.m. and 8 p.m., I was absolutely useless. And then I would get another burst of energy and wouldn't be able to sleep until 1 or 2 in the morning, which led to all sorts of problems. But now I have just steady energy all throughout the day. I don't have crashes. I don't have these really high manic states either. And overall, it's been wonderful, and I highly recommend it. Hey, thanks for watching. Just know that quitting caffeine, it's not easy, but it's doable, and it is so worth it. And the most important parts to push through are between like your 2nd month and your 5th month, because during that time, you're gonna feel okay, but you're gonna feel just a little bit off and just a little bit tired all the time. And you're gonna miss that feeling of excitement and energy that you used to get when you drank your big cup of coffee. And you're gonna be really tempted to get back on caffeine. And I would say just don't do it, because past month 5, month 6, like now I have all of my natural energy back, and I just feel I'm naturally excited about things again. I'm naturally motivated about things again, and I feel like myself again. And I don't feel tired all the time, and that is so nice. So stick it through. You can do it. It'll be tough, but anything worth doing in life will be a little bit challenging. So good luck, everybody. Have an awesome day, and I will see you on the trail.